Before we plunge into the heart of today's gripping tale, a crucial reminder awaits. In a shocking twist, a staggering 90% of our viewers indulge in our captivating videos, yet remain elusive, refusing to subscribe. What secrets lie behind this mysterious phenomenon? In a world where every moment counts, seize the opportunity. Hit that subscribe button and activate notifications, ensuring you remain at the forefront of every thrilling update. Don't let the suspense slip away. Should this tale ensnare your very soul, remember to cast your approval upon the video. It truly makes a difference for us. My name is Jessica, and for more than 14 years, I have been bound in a union with my husband, Jack, a bond that has weathered storms and faced shadows lurking in the corners of our lives. In the hallowed halls of our college, amidst the laughter and the late-night whispers, our paths crossed, an encounter that would echo through the years, a tale woven with threads of nostalgia and unspoken secrets, destined to be recounted at reunions, where smiles would mask the shadows of what truly transpired. Once, he captivated all with his charm, his quick wit slicing through the air like a knife. Ambition burned in his eyes, a fierce determination that left no room for doubt. He strode forward, unwavering, as if the path ahead was illuminated just for him, a man destined for greatness. I was the silent observer, a shadow in the corner, my words few but heavy with meaning, forever seeking the calm amidst the chaos. In the shadows of our entwined fates, we found a precarious equilibrium, a delicate dance that seemed to defy the chaos surrounding us. Each moment, a heartbeat away from unraveling, held a promise that felt right in the depths of our souls, even as the world around us whispered of impending storms. We entered into the sacred bond of marriage while still in the bloom of youth, perhaps too young to grasp the weight of our vows. At the tender age of 23, I found myself entwined in a web of uncertainty, while Jack, a mere 2 years my senior at 25, stood at the precipice of his own tumultuous journey. In those early years, we found ourselves ensnared in a web of rented apartments, burdened by student loans, and surviving on the meager sustenance of ramen dinners. Tensions simmered as we clashed over the mundane yet pivotal question: whose turn was it to tackle the ever-growing pile of dishes? Yet, amidst the chaos and turmoil, our love endured, a fierce flame flickering defiantly against the shadows that threatened to engulf us. Or so I believed we had. As we crossed the threshold into our mid-30s, the world around us had transformed in ways we could never have anticipated. In the shadow of Jack's towering success in the ruthless world of finance, I had made the heart-wrenching decision to abandon my own ambitions, dedicating myself to the delicate task of nurturing our 2 precious children, Ella and Lucas. The weight of our choices hung heavy in the air, a silent tension brewing beneath the surface. In that moment, I felt an unsettling calm wash over me, as if the weight of the world had been lifted. Yet, deep within, a storm brewed, whispering doubts that clawed at the edges of my mind. Was it truly the right choice? Or had I just sealed my fate in shadows? The silence was deafening, and I couldn't shake the feeling that everything was about to change. In the beginning, I convinced myself that my choice to stay home for the kids was a noble sacrifice, that my unwavering presence in their lives would hold more value than any paycheck could ever offer. But as the days turned into nights, a creeping doubt began to gnaw at the edges of my resolve, whispering that perhaps I had traded my worth for a fleeting illusion. Yet, as the days slipped away like grains of sand, I found myself unwittingly surrendering fragments of my very essence. The days started to intertwine, each one slipping into the next, a relentless tide erasing the boundaries of time. In the stillness of early mornings, the air thick with anticipation, packed lunches are hastily assembled, each item a silent promise. The clock ticks ominously as school drop-offs loom, a bittersweet farewell hanging in the air. Grocery lists flutter like whispers of urgency, while meal preps become a frantic dance against time. As the sun sets, late nights creep in, shrouded in shadows, where exhaustion battles against the relentless tide of responsibilities. Amidst the whirlwind of Jack's relentless business trips and the suffocating formality of board meetings, a chilling silence enveloped us, swallowing whole the conversations that once held the weight of our souls. Whispers morphed into urgent updates, each word heavy with unspoken tension. What once was a tender embrace now fell into the monotony of habit, each hug a shadow of its former warmth, echoing the silence of unspoken words. Intimacy, once a vibrant flame, flickered and dimmed, overshadowed by the relentless march of family life's cold, unyielding logistics. He was not wholly at fault, but the shadows of doubt loomed large, casting a pall over my thoughts. We allowed the chasm between us to widen, each moment stretching the silence into an unbearable void. Yet, the deepest wound was the agonizing sting of invisibility that enveloped me. Then, as the last whispers of winter faded, a seismic change began to unfold, setting the stage for an unforeseen upheaval. It was at that fateful moment when Lucas returned to the house next door, a shadow from the past re-emerging to stir the stillness of the night. He had spent his childhood just 2 houses away, the solitary offspring of the Learys, a family that had loomed large in our lives for decades, their presence a constant shadow in the neighborhood's tapestry. In the shadows of my memory, Lucas emerges, a vibrant spirit, a whirlwind of energy. He was the boy who danced with the soccer ball, his laughter echoing through the air, and raced through the streets on his bike, a fearless leader among his band of companions. But what secrets lay hidden beneath that radiant exterior? As he crossed the threshold into adulthood at 18, he vanished into the distant realms of California's college life, leaving behind a haunting silence that stretched for years, shrouding his fate in mystery. Yet, after the shattering loss of his mother, he returned, a young man of 23, freshly graduated, burdened with the weight of responsibility as he tended to his ailing father, whose health hung by a fragile thread. The air was thick with tension as I caught sight of him once more, his figure silhouetted against the fading light, unloading boxes from a U-Haul. Each movement was deliberate, a haunting reminder of the past that had once bound us together. My heart raced, uncertainty gnawing at the edges of my mind, as I wondered what secrets lay hidden within those cardboard confines. This was no ordinary reunion, it was the beginning of something that could change everything. As I meticulously shaped the hedges out front, a fleeting moment of confusion gripped me. There he stood, a shadow from the past, unrecognizable and cloaked in mystery. He towered above the crowd, his broad shoulders casting a formidable shadow, exuding a magnetic confidence that seemed almost palpable, a rare aura that only the young and daring possess. His smile pierced through the shadows as our eyes met, a fleeting moment that held the weight of unspoken secrets and untold stories. "Mrs. Wilson?" he inquired, his voice laced with an urgency that hung in the air like a storm cloud, ready to unleash its fury. A chilling laugh escaped my lips, echoing in the silence, a sound that felt both out of place and hauntingly familiar. "How dare you utter that name in my presence? It sends shivers down my spine, a forbidden echo that should never cross your lips. It casts a shadow of age upon my very being." His grin spread slowly, a shadow of mischief dancing in his eyes, hinting at secrets yet to be unveiled. Apologies linger in the air, heavy with unspoken words and unresolved tension. "Jessica, is it?" The name hangs in the air, heavy with unspoken secrets and the weight of anticipation. What lies beneath the surface of that simple word? A storm brews, ready to unleash its fury at any moment. Thus, the tale began, shrouded in shadows and whispers of fate. In the dim light, a smile flickered like a candle's flame, casting shadows of forgotten memories. A name whispered through the air, heavy with unspoken promises, as if the universe conspired to bring them together once more. The tension hung thick, a reintroduction that felt like the turning of a page in a long-lost story, each heartbeat echoing the weight of what was and what could be. In the weeks that followed, our paths would cross with an unsettling frequency, each encounter thick with unspoken tension. He would venture into the wild expanse of the lawn, the roar of the mower drowning out the whispers of the wind. The dog, a loyal companion, would trot beside him, eyes gleaming with anticipation. Occasionally, he would find solace on the creaking porch, lost in the pages of a book or ensnared in a conversation that could change everything. We engaged in the customary exchange of pleasantries that neighbors often share, but beneath the surface, an unspoken tension lingered, hinting at secrets yet to be revealed. Amidst the swirling chaos of the weather, a storm brews not just in the skies but in the hearts of the people. Whispers of discontent echo through the streets as the news spreads like wildfire, a shared grievance, a mounting frustration over the relentless delays in garbage pickup. Tension hangs thick in the air, as the community grapples with the unsettling reality of neglect. Will their voices be heard, or will they be drowned out by the cacophony of indifference? All seemed ordinary, yet an unsettling tension hung in the air, as if the calm before a storm was about to shatter the silence. Yet, as the sun blazed high in the sky, casting shadows that danced with uncertainty, our conversations began to stretch into the depths of twilight, each word heavy with unspoken tension. On a fateful afternoon, I found myself locked in a battle with a defiant broken sprinkler head in the shadowy depths of my backyard. Jack was gone once again, leaving me alone in the dimly lit house. The thought of calling a plumber for such a trivial issue sent a shiver down my spine. What if it was more than just a minor inconvenience? What if this small problem spiraled into something far more sinister? I hesitated, the weight of uncertainty pressing heavily on my chest. Lucas's gaze pierced through the shadows from his porch, a flicker of curiosity igniting within him as he approached, each step heavy with unspoken tension. "Do you seek assistance in this moment of uncertainty?" He extended his hand, a shadow of uncertainty flickering in his eyes. With a heart pounding in my chest, I paused, the weight of the moment hanging in the air, before finally giving a reluctant nod. It's a haunting shadow that lingers, a weight that crushes the spirit with every breath. The sting of humiliation wraps around like a vice, tightening with each passing moment. The heart races, the mind spirals, and the world feels like it's closing in, leaving nothing but the echo of shame in its wake. For 20 agonizing minutes, I've been locked in a fierce battle with this relentless foe. He lowered himself beside me, his fingers trembling as they danced nervously over the pipe, each movement charged with an unspoken tension that hung thick in the air. I observed him, a figure of unwavering concentration, his patience almost palpable, a hint of amusement dancing in his eyes as he reveled in my mounting frustration. In a heartbeat, the sprinkler erupted back to life, its sudden burst echoing like a distant thunderclap in the tense silence. "There," he declared, his hands trembling as he brushed away the dirt, a shadow of unease flickering in his eyes. "It's not as simple as it seems." How effortlessly you spoke those words, I couldn't help but let out a laugh, masking the storm brewing within. In that instant, the air crackled with an unspoken tension, and everything shifted irrevocably. A tension hung in the air, subtle yet undeniable, as an unsettling awareness crept over me. An unsettling tension hung in the atmosphere, a palpable change that whispered of secrets and shadows whenever he entered the room. He would wave as I toiled in the garden, his gaze lingering a heartbeat longer during our conversations. Each inquiry about my well-being felt charged with an intensity that suggested he truly cared, not merely passing the time, but delving into the depths of my soul. And I found myself responding, not merely out of politeness, but driven by an undeniable force that stirred within me, compelling me to engage in a way I never anticipated. A truth loomed in the shadows, one I was unprepared to confront. An anticipation stirred within me, a thrilling whisper of what was to come as I found myself yearning to see him again. In the quiet moments of my baking, I would set aside a portion, a secret offering meant for him and his father, a gesture laden with unspoken words and hidden intentions. As I stepped into the shadows of the evening, my heart raced with anticipation. Each time I passed their porch, I cast a furtive glance, hoping to catch a glimpse of him lurking in the dim light, a figure shrouded in mystery. It lacked the warmth of romance, a chilling void where passion should have thrived. Not yet. The air thickens with anticipation, as the moment hangs precariously in the balance, waiting to unfold. At the very least, I convinced myself it was not true. It was the piercing gaze of attention, the warm embrace of kindness, the electrifying thrill of being seen for more than just the roles I played in the lives of others. Then, on a fateful afternoon in late August, an event unfolded that would irrevocably alter the course of destiny. The sun blazed mercilessly overhead, casting an oppressive heat that seemed to wrap around the children like a thick shroud. They gathered at a friend's house, laughter echoing through the air, but beneath the surface, an unsettling tension simmered, hinting at the unexpected twists that lay ahead. The sun hung low in the sky, casting long shadows as I sat on the porch, the coolness of iced tea refreshing my senses. My eyes danced across the pages of my book when suddenly, Lucas emerged from the twilight, a folder clutched tightly in his hand, his expression unreadable. The air thickened with anticipation, and I felt a shiver run down my spine. "Hey," he whispered, his voice barely breaking the heavy silence that hung in the air. "May I delve into the depths of your thoughts for a moment?" With a furrowed brow and a hint of urgency in his voice, he revealed his intentions to apply to graduate schools, seeking critical feedback on the personal statement that could determine his future. A rush of warmth enveloped me, a fleeting moment where admiration danced dangerously close to desire. He recalled the days when I stood before a classroom, imparting knowledge, before the decision to abandon it all and retreat into the shadows of home. We lingered in the dim light for what felt like an eternity, our voices weaving through the air as we unraveled the threads of his essay, his ambitions, and the haunting dreams that danced just beyond his reach. He leaned in, his gaze piercing through the shadows of my doubt, probing with questions that ignited a flicker of significance within me once more. After a tense silence, he leaned back, his gaze piercing through the shadows, and uttered, "You should still be doing this, Jessica." The weight of his words hung in the air, thick with unspoken truths and lingering doubts. It's the act of imparting knowledge, a dance on the edge of enlightenment and chaos. The world awaits your brilliance, don't let it slip away into the shadows. My gaze locked onto him, a jolt of surprise coursing through me. Years have slipped away, each moment heavy with the weight of time. As I stand on the precipice of uncertainty, the weight of the unknown looms heavy. The path ahead is shrouded in shadows, and I find myself paralyzed, grappling with the daunting question, where does one even begin in the face of such overwhelming darkness? Indeed, you would shine brilliantly. The truth hangs heavy in the air, undeniable and stark. It was never about the words. His words hung in the air, charged with an intensity that sent shivers down my spine. They were raw, unguarded, as if he had unearthed a buried truth within me, a truth I had desperately tried to forget. That night, sleep eluded me, a haunting specter lurking in the shadows of my mind. His voice echoed in my mind, a haunting reminder of the way he gazed at me, not with pity, nor with mere politeness, but with an intensity that spoke of true admiration. Each memory sent shivers down my spine, leaving me breathless and yearning for more. It awakened a long-dormant force within me, a shadow I had buried deep, now clawing its way back to the surface. As the days turned into weeks, an undeniable pull drew us closer, weaving our lives together in a tapestry of anticipation and unspoken secrets. He would appear at my doorstep, his loyal dog by his side, inquiring about the secrets of my garden. Each visit, he would present me with a carefully chosen book, a token of his thoughtfulness, igniting a flicker of anticipation in my heart. There lurked a reason in the shadows, a haunting excuse that whispered through the darkness. Yet, deep down, we both understood the haunting reality that lingered between us. We stood on the precipice, teetering on the edge of temptation, yet never dared to cross that invisible line, not even in the shadows of our desires. But what of the emotional lines that bind us? What secrets do they hold, lurking in the shadows of our hearts? They rushed past me, a whirlwind of chaos, faster than I could ever have anticipated. One fateful evening, as shadows danced across my backyard and the sun dipped below the horizon, he leaned in, his voice barely above a whisper, "You seem lonely sometimes." A heavy silence enveloped me, the weight of uncertainty pressing down like a storm cloud ready to unleash its fury. My mind raced, caught in a whirlwind of thoughts, each one more daunting than the last. How could I possibly find the words to break this suffocating tension? The moment hung in the air, thick with anticipation, as I stood on the precipice of decision, paralyzed by the unknown. I fought against the truth, desperately clinging to the illusion of normalcy, but deep down, I knew the facade was crumbling. But I was powerless, not with him looming in the shadows. In that fleeting moment, I found myself confessing, his head dipped in acknowledgement, yet his gaze pierced through me, laden with a haunting blend of sorrow and profound comprehension. "Jessica, you are destined for so much more than the shadows of another story." That sentence haunted me, echoing in the shadows of my mind, refusing to fade away. It reverberated in the shadows of my thoughts as I prepared dinner, as I meticulously folded the clothes, and as I found myself enveloped in the eerie silence of the house, alone after the children had drifted into their dreams. As the shadows deepened around me, doubt crept into my mind, gnawing at the edges of my certainty. I found myself questioning everything I once held true. Had I truly embraced the life before me, or had I merely resigned myself to its shadows? Jack sensed the subtle change, a whisper in the air, but it barely registered in his mind. He was ensnared in the relentless grip of work, drowning in a sea of meetings, lost amidst an unending barrage of emails and looming deadlines that threatened to consume him whole. He would casually inquire if everything was all right, but the question hung in the air, heavy with unspoken tension. Text, I confessed to him, my voice barely a whisper, that exhaustion had seeped into my bones, a heavy weight that threatened to pull me under. He would nod, a fleeting acknowledgement, before his gaze fell back to the glowing screen of his phone, as if it held the answers to secrets yet untold. Lucas, however, remained silent, his ears attuned to the whispers of the shadows around him. In a world shrouded in shadows, he illuminated my existence, making me feel not just seen, but vital, as if my very presence held the weight of the universe. Uncertainty gripped me like a vice, a chilling whisper echoing in the depths of my mind. I was adrift, lost in a storm of confusion, unaware of the perilous path I was treading. Little did I know, fate had other plans in store for me. In the shadows of my mind, I was not weaving a tapestry of treachery, nor was I crafting a plan to abandon, to betray, or to bring ruin upon what we had built. In that moment, I found myself adrift, swallowed by an overwhelming void of uncertainty. In that fleeting moment, he unearthed a part of me long buried, igniting a spark of recognition that sent shivers down my spine. I was no longer lost, I was found, but at what cost? Yet, amidst the serene bliss of our bond, a chilling awareness gripped me. I was teetering on the edge of a perilous precipice. One misstep, and the entire world could shatter into chaos. I whispered to myself that it was nothing, just a fleeting shadow in the night, harmless and inconsequential. But deep down, a chilling doubt began to creep in, gnawing at the edges of my mind, urging me to reconsider the truth lurking beneath the surface. Merely a friendship, yet it was a spark that reignited the embers of my existence, pulling me back from the shadows of despair. Yet, lurking in the shadows of my mind, a chilling certainty took root. This fragile innocence was destined to shatter, and the darkness would soon emerge. The days that followed descended into a haunting haze of uncertainty, each moment thick with an unsettling tension that gripped the heart. In the shadows of my mind, I grappled with the relentless burden of scrutiny, every action, every glance, every implication twisted and turned like a knife in the dark. What was I truly doing? How would it be perceived? What secrets lay hidden beneath the surface of my choices? In the shadows of my conscience, I grappled with a chilling realization: I had committed no overt transgression, at least not by the standards of the ordinary world. Yet, an unsettling tension hung in the air, whispering that something far more sinister lurked beneath the surface. Yet, a haunting whisper within me warned that I was teetering on the precipice of a threshold from which there might be no return. As the shadows lengthened, I found myself drifting further from Lucas, a deliberate retreat into the unknown, crafting an abyss between us. I convinced myself it was for the greater good, a necessary sacrifice in the shadows of uncertainty. I found myself standing at a crossroads, the weight of my past pressing down on me. I had to shift my gaze, to hone in on Jack, the children, the fragile tapestry of life I had painstakingly woven. The stakes were high, and the shadows of doubt loomed large, but I knew I had to reclaim what was mine. I believed that by pouring my energy into the monotonous rhythm of my routine, into the fragile threads of my marriage, the tumultuous feelings that churned within me would dissipate, vanishing like a thick fog surrendering to the relentless embrace of the sun. Yet, emotions refused to vanish at a mere beck and call. And in the vastness of space, I discovered that connection, once forged, can never truly be extinguished. At times, it amplifies the very essence of it, casting shadows that dance in the corners of perception. Lucas held back, the weight of unspoken words hanging in the air, a tension that crackled like electricity, leaving everyone on edge, waiting for the storm to break. He maintained an air of respect, a chilling distance that sent shivers down the spine, his politeness a mere facade hiding the storm brewing beneath the surface. Yet, I could sense the shift in his gaze, the way it lingered just a moment too long, as if he were unraveling a secret that hung heavy in the air between us. His waves crashed with less fervor, his smiles flickered like distant stars, barely illuminating the shadows that loomed around him. And though his visits grew infrequent, each time our gazes collided across the fence or from our distant porches, An unspoken tension crackled in the air, a silent acknowledgement of something deeper lurking just beneath the surface. The void loomed between us, heavy and suffocating, a palpable reminder of what was lost. At home, the facade of normalcy persisted, but beneath the surface, an unsettling tension brewed, waiting for the moment to erupt. Jack toiled endlessly, the weight of exhaustion pressing down on him like a heavy shroud. His mind wandered, lost in a fog of fatigue, as shadows of distraction danced around him, threatening to consume his every thought. He began retreating to the guest room on certain nights, spinning tales of back pain and the desperate need for a more restful slumber. But was it truly discomfort that drove him away, or was there something darker lurking in the shadows of their shared space? I remained silent, the weight of unspoken words hanging heavily in the air. We had become accustomed to the aching void that stretched between us, a chasm filled with unspoken words and lingering shadows. It had slithered in with the stealth of a shadow, so gradually over the years that it began to feel like an unsettling norm. Yet, it was not what it seemed. Absolutely not. Unbeknownst to them, the children danced through their innocent world, oblivious to the shadows lurking just beyond their sight. In the fragile realm of their youth, they remained blissfully ensnared in the intricate webs of homework and the tantalizing allure of weekend escapades, oblivious to the shadows lurking just beyond their innocent horizons. Behind the facade of normalcy, I meticulously crafted their lunches, poured my heart into school projects, and erupted with fervor from the sidelines at Ella's soccer games and Luca's piano recitals, all while a storm brewed beneath the surface. Yet within the depths of my being, I was coming apart at the seams. On a fateful night, Jack returned home, the hour far beyond the ordinary, shrouded in an unsettling silence that hinted at secrets lurking in the shadows. The clock ticked ominously, the hands creeping toward the witching hour, as shadows danced in the dim light. It was almost midnight. The shadows danced around me as I sat on the couch, the book resting in my lap like a forgotten relic. Time slipped away, and I hadn't turned a page in what felt like an eternity, the words blurring into an indecipherable haze. With a heavy heart, he let the keys slip from his fingers, clattering onto the counter, the sound echoing in the stillness. A deep sigh escaped his lips, laden with unspoken tension. "Apologies, it has been an exhausting day," I nodded, the weight of the moment pressing down on me like a storm cloud ready to unleash its fury. "Recently, an unsettling number of those have crossed your path." He sank into the chair opposite me, his hands trembling as they pressed against his weary eyes, a storm of unspoken thoughts swirling in the air between us. The relentless tide of events has surged forward, leaving no moment for respite. The arrival of the new clients has unleashed chaos, a tempest of challenges that threatens to consume everything in its path. The air hung heavy between us, a palpable tension that stretched on for what felt like an eternity. The air crackled with tension, a palpable void that stretched endlessly between us, heavy with unspoken words and unfulfilled desires. Vast and frigid, brimming with unspoken truths that linger in the shadows. Do you ever sense the chilling distance between us, as if we are mere strangers sharing the same space, trapped in a haunting silence? I inquired abruptly, my voice barely a whisper, trembling with unspoken tension. His gaze shot upwards, a jolt of astonishment coursing through him. "What is happening? It feels as though we are merely shadows, drifting through the mundane, trapped in a cycle of existence that lacks any spark of life." His brow furrowed, a storm brewing within the depths of his gaze. From the shadows, a question lingers, echoing in the silence. Where is this coming from? "Text I don't know," I said, though the truth clawed at my insides, desperate to escape. In the silence that envelopes me, I find myself yearning for the sound of conversation, the thrill of words exchanged, the connection that once ignited my spirit. It haunts me, this absence, as I linger in the shadows of what once was. Engaging in a profound exchange. He let out a heavy sigh, one that seemed to echo the weight of the world on his shoulders. Jessica, a name that echoes in the shadows, a whisper that sends chills down the spine. What secrets lie behind those syllables? What fate awaits her in the darkness? The air thickens with anticipation, and the heart races at the thought of her next move. With every ounce of strength I can muster, I am fighting against the odds. The weight of work bears down, suffocating and relentless, as the shadows of deadlines loom ever closer. The children are calling out for us, their voices echoing in the shadows of uncertainty. We cannot turn away, their fate hangs in the balance, and time is slipping through our fingers like sand. We must answer the call before it's too late. Time slips through our fingers like sand, and the weight of our marriage looms over us, demanding attention we cannot afford. Each night, the shadows grow longer, and the urgency of our unspoken truths hangs heavy in the air, leaving us no choice but to confront the chaos that binds us. As I locked eyes with him, an unsettling chill coursed through me, and for a fleeting heartbeat, he transformed into a complete enigma, a stranger cloaked in shadows. I'm not pleading for a lecture, Jack. I implore you, let us engage in a dialogue that could change everything. He stood, his heart racing, pacing back and forth, each step echoing the turmoil within him. What is it that you truly wish for me to utter? Forgive me for the weariness that clings to me like a shadow, a relentless weight that pulls me down into the depths of exhaustion. Are you suggesting that I abandon my career and spend endless hours on the porch with you, lost in the depths of time? What a tantalizing proposition, shrouded in uncertainty and allure. That cut deep. Not out of cruelty, but from a chilling indifference that cut deeper than any blade. I never sought to claim it all. In the shadows of uncertainty, I found myself reaching out, desperate for an answer, a glimmer of hope in the darkness. What I sought was more than mere words, it was a lifeline, a connection that could alter the course of everything. No, I whispered, my voice barely breaking the silence that hung heavy in the air. All I crave is the piercing gaze that acknowledges my very existence. For a fleeting moment, his expression wavered, caught in a tempest of guilt and defensiveness, as if the weight of unspoken truths threatened to unravel him. Yet, in a chilling silence, he turned and strode out of the room, leaving an air of unanswered questions and a palpable tension in his wake. That night, I lay awake, my eyes fixed on the ceiling, the silence of the house wrapping around me like a shroud, heavy with unspoken fears and lingering shadows. My thoughts spiraled back to Lucas, to the way he would lean in, his gaze piercing through the noise, truly absorbing every word I uttered. How he always managed to make me feel as though my desires were not only valid but essential, never once allowing the weight of my requests to feel burdensome. The following day, I resumed my routine, unaware of the storm brewing just beneath the surface of my ordinary life. Amidst the relentless ticking of the clock, a whirlwind of tasks looms ahead, errands to conquer, the relentless battle against dust and disorder, and the tantalizing anticipation of dinner's preparation. Each moment hangs heavy with urgency, as the day teeters on the brink of chaos. As the sun dipped low in the sky, casting long shadows across the ground, I ventured outside once more, my heart racing. With each snip of the shears, I trimmed the bushes that stood sentinel along the fence separating our worlds, unaware of the secrets lurking just beyond the foliage. It was never meant to happen. At least, that's the lie I whispered to myself in the shadows of doubt. Yet, as I caught sight of Lucas perched on his porch, headphones enveloping him in a world of sound, his pencil dancing across the pages of a notebook, an electric thrill surged through my heart, igniting a pulse of anticipation. With a heart pounding in my chest, I paused, the weight of uncertainty hanging in the air, before finally raising my hand in a tentative wave. He lifted his gaze, a smile creeping across his face, as he slowly removed his headphones, the world around him suddenly coming alive with an electric tension. "Greetings, mysterious one." I returned the smile, a flicker of uncertainty dancing in my chest. "Greetings." He approached, halting just a breath away from where I stood, the tension thick in the air. "Where have you been? Your absence looms like a shadow, heavy and foreboding." "Text I know," I whispered, my fingers trembling as they tucked a loose strand of hair behind my ear, the weight of unspoken truths hanging heavily in the air. I found myself standing at the edge of uncertainty, desperate to untangle the chaos swirling within my mind. He nodded slowly, the weight of unspoken words hanging heavily in the air, as if the very silence held the power to unravel everything. Did it truly make a difference? Uncertainty loomed like a shadow, creeping into the corners of my mind, leaving me in a state of turmoil. The question hung in the air, heavy and suffocating, as I grappled with the weight of my indecision. The air hung heavy with anticipation, a silence that stretched on, not quite uneasy, yet brimming with the weight of unvoiced secrets waiting to erupt. Shall we venture into the unknown, step by step, where shadows linger and secrets await? A walk could lead us to unexpected revelations. He demanded, his voice slicing through the silence like a knife. Just around the corner, a shadow looms, hinting at something far more sinister than it appears. With a heart pounding in my chest, I paused, the weight of the moment pressing down on me, before finally giving a reluctant nod. Very well. We ventured forth in a heavy silence, the autumn air sharp and biting, while the sky above was a canvas of deepening twilight, each hue whispering secrets of the encroaching night. With each step, the leaves shattered beneath our feet, echoing in the eerie silence that enveloped us. The world stood frozen, a haunting stillness that sharpened our thoughts, as if the very air held its breath, waiting for what was to come. "You're not crazy, you know," he finally uttered, his voice barely above a whisper, as if the weight of the truth hung heavily in the air between them. My gaze locked onto him, a silent storm brewing between us. For what purpose, you ask? What lies beneath the surface of this seemingly simple question? The air thickens with uncertainty, and shadows dance in the corners of your mind, beckoning you to delve deeper into the unknown. What secrets await in the depths of this inquiry? The answer could change everything. For the haunting sensation of being unseen, for the desperate yearning for something beyond the mundane existence of mere survival. I exhaled, my breath escaping in a ghostly plume, lingering in the chilling air like a whispered secret waiting to be uncovered. At times, it feels as though I am a ghost, haunting the very center of my existence, invisible to the world around me, lost in the shadows of my own reality. He halted in his tracks, pivoting to confront me with an intensity that sent a shiver down my spine. "I can see you lurking in the shadows, your presence palpable, a haunting whisper in the silence." The air thickens with tension as our eyes lock, a silent acknowledgement of the unspoken truth that binds us. What secrets lie behind that gaze? What intentions stir in the depths of your soul? The moment hangs, electric and charged, as the world around the words lingered ominously in the charged silence that enveloped us, each syllable a heavy weight, poised to shatter the fragile tension that bound us together. Unassuming yet profound, a lurking peril lies beneath the surface. Silence enveloped me, a heavy shroud of uncertainty. I stood there, paralyzed, the weight of unspoken words pressing down like a storm about to break. My heart raced, each beat echoing the tension in the air. I didn't respond. I was powerless to do so. A suffocating grip closed around my throat, while a searing fire ignited behind my eyes. I averted my gaze, desperately attempting to conceal the tumult of feelings that surged within me, unbidden and fierce. He remained still, a silent sentinel beside me, offering a presence that stirred emotions long buried, awakening a longing I had thought lost to time. In the stillness of the moment, a palpable presence loomed, heavy with unspoken tension and the weight of anticipation. Shadows danced, whispering secrets that hung in the air, thick and electric. What lay beneath the surface was a mystery, a force waiting to be unleashed, drawing every breath into a tight coil of suspense. The atmosphere crackled, as if the very fabric of reality held its breath, poised on the edge of revelation. That night, I perched on the edge of my bed, the shadows closing in around me, and the tears streamed down my face, each drop a silent scream echoing in the stillness. Not due to any misdeed of my own, but because I felt the pull of my heart towards an unknown abyss, and I was powerless to halt its relentless descent. The weeks that followed were shrouded in an oppressive tension, each moment thick with uncertainty and foreboding. Once more, I found myself ensnared in the web of Lucas's presence, a force I could no longer evade. The air crackled with tension, and every instinct screamed for me to flee, yet the pull was undeniable, drawing me closer to the edge of an unknown abyss. Our connection had transformed, shedding its shroud of ambiguity and stepping into the stark light of undeniable clarity. It was undeniably real, and every attempt to bury it only fueled its relentless power, growing stronger in the shadows, waiting for the moment to strike. He never uttered a word out of line, never laid a finger on me, yet the very essence of our connection hung in the balance, a delicate thread pulled taut, poised on the brink of breaking. On a fateful afternoon, he placed a book on my porch, a novel that had lingered in our minds, a whispered promise from one of our earlier conversations, now shrouded in mystery. A chilling note lay hidden within, its presence sending shivers down the spine. In a cacophony that threatens to drown your very essence, a sanctuary of silence beckons. You are worthy of that stillness, a refuge from the chaos that swirls around you. I sat there, the book resting heavily in my lap, my eyes locked onto his handwriting. It was as if the very walls I had painstakingly constructed around my heart were disintegrating, collapsing under the weight of memories I could no longer escape. After years of silence, I found myself drawn back to the pages of a journal, a relic of my college days that had long been forgotten. What secrets would spill forth from the depths of my mind? What shadows would emerge as I dared to confront the past once more? With trembling hands, I unleashed the tempest of my soul onto those pages, each word a haunting echo of my confusion, a heavy weight of guilt, a desperate yearning, and an all-consuming fear. I penned the tale of a life I believed was destined for me, and the enigmatic woman I had transformed into. Amidst the chaos and turmoil, a singular truth clawed its way to the surface, relentless and undeniable. My heart was ensnared in a web of forbidden emotions, tethered to a soul that was not my own, not my husband. Though my body remained loyal, my heart had wandered into treacherous territory, crossing the invisible lines that defined my vows. The weight of my choices loomed heavy, casting shadows over the sanctity of my marriage. On a fateful night, Jack and I sat across from each other, the air thick with unspoken words, as we shared a meal in an unsettling silence that seemed to stretch on forever. The children found themselves at their grandparents' house for the weekend, a seemingly perfect chance to bridge the gap of time and distance that had grown between them. But little did they know, the air was thick with unspoken secrets, and the shadows of the past loomed closer than ever before. Instead, we dined in two isolated realms, the sharp clink of silverware echoing like a haunting whisper in the chasm that lay between us. In the aftermath, I meticulously cleared the dishes, my hands moving almost on autopilot as I stood at the sink. My gaze drifted beyond the glass, fixated on the street outside, where shadows danced and secrets lingered just out of sight. It was in that haunting moment, beneath the flickering streetlights, that I caught sight of Aiden, his silhouette looming as he strolled with his dog, an eerie tension hanging in the air. His gaze drifted upward, fixated on the looming silhouette of the house, shrouded in an unsettling silence. As our gazes locked, a surge of emotion coursed through me, electrifying the air between us, igniting a fire that threatened to consume everything in its path. The haunting possibility looms, a shadow of guilt that gnaws at the edges of my soul, an unbearable ache for a life that slips further from my grasp with each passing moment. I spun around in a flash, my heart racing like a wild drum, and clutched the counter with such force that my knuckles blanched to a ghostly white. The weight of the moment pressed down on me, a decision looming like a shadow in the dim light. I stood at the precipice, heart racing, knowing that the choice I was about to make would alter everything. The air crackled with tension, and I could feel the world holding its breath, waiting for my next move. The events that unfolded next were undeniably orchestrated, a chilling twist of fate that could not be dismissed as mere coincidence. The moment loomed before me, heavy with anticipation, as I stood on the precipice of choice. It would be a calculated move, a defining moment that would shape my very essence. Who would I become in the shadows of this decision? The weight of the unknown pressed down, urging me to confront the darkness within. I ascended the staircase, my heart pounding, and took a seat across from Jack in the dimly lit bedroom, the air thick with unspoken tension. As he scrolled through the endless stream of emails on his phone, a sense of unease began to creep in, each notification a whisper of secrets waiting to be uncovered. The air was thick with tension as I uttered the words, "I think we need to talk." A chill ran down my spine, knowing that this conversation could change everything. He lifted his gaze, weariness etched across his face. What dark secrets lie beneath the surface? In the shadows of uncertainty, we emerge, a collective bound by purpose and passion. Our story is one of resilience, where every heartbeat echoes the struggles and triumphs that have shaped us. Together, we navigate the labyrinth of challenges, driven by an unyielding desire to forge a path that is uniquely ours. Welcome to our world, where every moment is charged with possibility and every decision carries the weight of destiny. Concerning the entirety of existence. With a heart pounding in his chest, he paused, the weight of the moment pressing down on him, before finally relinquishing his grip on the phone, letting it rest on the table like a ticking time bomb. Very well. As I parted my lips, a heavy silence enveloped me, the words lingering just out of reach, like shadows dancing in the dim light, waiting for the perfect moment to emerge. It was overwhelming, a suffocating tide that threatened to consume everything in its path. Endless moments stretch like shadows, each tick of the clock echoing in the silence, a haunting reminder of what lies ahead. The silence hung heavy in the air, a palpable tension that seemed to stretch endlessly, as if the world held its breath, waiting for something, anything, to shatter the stillness. A tempest of emotions surged, a relentless tide of everything that had accumulated between us, threatening to drown us both in its depths. Text, I feel as though I'm merely existing, I finally confessed, my voice trembling with the weight of unspoken truths. A shadow looms over me, each day a relentless battle for survival. I find myself merely existing, trapped in a cycle of monotony, and the weight of it all threatens to crush me. I fear I am reaching the end of my tether, and the thought of what lies ahead fills me with dread. His gaze met mine, a storm of doubt swirling in his eyes. Are you truly suggesting that you wish to depart? Text, I was engulfed in uncertainty, my voice trembling as I confessed the truth. I simply didn't know. A shift is inevitable, the air crackles with tension, and the weight of the moment hangs heavy. Something must give. He leaned back, exhaling slowly, as if releasing the weight of the world with each breath. A shadow looms over your heart, a whisper of discontent that refuses to fade. No, I confessed, a chill creeping into my voice, and I doubt you are, either. The conversation lingered in the air, heavy with unspoken words, a tension that crackled like electricity, yet somehow, against all odds, it did not erupt into a fight. Silence hung in the air, thick and suffocating. No accusations pierced the stillness, no door slammed shut in anger. Just an unsettling calm that hinted at the storm brewing beneath the surface. In the dim light, two figures stood frozen, their eyes locked on the chasm that had silently grown between them. The air crackled with unspoken words, a tension so thick it felt as if the very universe held its breath, waiting for the moment of reckoning. In the shadows of my thoughts, Aiden's name lingered unspoken, a ghost haunting the edges of my mind. The moment hangs in the air, thick with anticipation. Not yet. That moment would arrive, but not yet. In this very moment, I found myself standing on the precipice of revelation, grappling with the shadows of my own existence. Before I could dare to share my truth with another soul, I had to plunge deep into the labyrinth of my own mind and unravel the mysteries that lay within. Yet, deep within the shadows of uncertainty, one truth clawed at the edges of my mind, relentless and undeniable. The tale, shrouded in uncertainty, was far from its conclusion. Not yet, the tension hangs in the air, thick and palpable, as the moment of truth looms ever closer. The days that followed were shrouded in a haunting silence, each moment heavy with the weight of introspection. I withdrew from both Jack and Aiden, not in a fit of rage, but driven by an urgent need for survival. In the depths of uncertainty, I found myself yearning for clarity, a beacon of light in the encroaching shadows. In the stillness of dawn, I wandered alone, each step echoing in the silence. I found refuge in the shadowy corners of the library, where whispers of forgotten stories lingered. With pen in hand, I poured my thoughts into the pages of my journal, each word a secret waiting to be unveiled. In a moment that felt like an eternity, I stood before the mirror, confronting the depths of my own soul for the first time in years. I confessed to the haunting loneliness that had seeped into my very being, a void carved by the oppressive silence of my marriage. In that moment of vulnerability, I recognized Aiden as a reflection of my deepest yearnings, illuminating the emptiness within me, yet he held no keys to the labyrinth of my soul's despair. On a seemingly tranquil afternoon, I approached Aiden's door, my heart pounding with an unshakable sense of foreboding. His eyes widened in disbelief, yet silence enveloped him as I extended the letter, a weighty secret poised to unravel between us. Text, please, read it later, I urged, my voice barely above a whisper, as the weight of unspoken words hung heavily in the air. I craved the solitude to reconstruct my very essence, not relying on another soul, but forging my path alone in the shadows of my own making. And in that moment, I turned my back, leaving everything behind, the weight of unspoken words hanging in the air like a storm about to break. As the shadows deepened and the clock ticked ominously, Jack and I found ourselves ensnared at the kitchen table, the air thick with unspoken tension. I revealed the truth to him, shrouded in shadows, withholding just enough to keep the air thick with tension. He strained to hear, every sound a whisper of fate hanging in the air. At long last, the silence shattered, and the weight of attention fell upon me, as if the universe itself had paused to hear my voice. And in that moment, after what felt like an eternity of silence, we finally spoke. The air crackled with unspoken words, each syllable heavy with the weight of our shared past. Not as strangers, but as two souls standing on the precipice of fate, grappling with the haunting question of what kind of future, if any, they could dare to reconstruct together amidst the shadows of their past. It was never my decision to select Aiden. I embraced the path of healing. And in that moment, amidst the chaos and uncertainty, I unearthed the fragments of my true self once more.